You are about to listen to a brand new episode of the Foreign Lady Podcast. I hope you enjoy. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and also support wherever you listen to your podcast. Now, let's get to the episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Foreign Lady Podcast. I'm your host, Liz.
And the bottom line.
And we are back with another episode for you today. So, on today's episode, we have quite a few topics to get through. I know there's some that are kind of bouncing around the internet right now. So, I kind of wanted to touch base and talk about those things. The first thing is I want to talk about the Bonito Bowl, which is I thought was amazing, but that's just me.
Okay.
We're going to talk about reactions and what the internet thought and the whole thing. Then we're going to talk about the new documentary that's like seems to be everywhere right now. I don't know if it probably wasn't like a guy's show, but I remember like when I was in I think it came out when I was in middle school, I want to say, maybe early high school. Maybe high school. I think I was like freshman year of high school. It came out, and it was like everything. That was America's Next Top Model with Tyra and the Jays and all of that. It was like I think my first introduction to like reality show, but I didn't know what it was because I'm like 13, 14. I'm like, oh, this looks so real.
Hmm.
But the controversy is now coming back with regards to what happened on the show, and people are like attacking Tyra and the whole thing. And so we're going to talk about, is that, are they accurate? Like, are those criticisms of her and the show, are they accurate? Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And then there's another episode I want to talk about. We want to talk about the Olympic skier that I believe he won bronze at the Olympics in Italy. And when they were interviewing him, he used that opportunity to tell the world that he cheated on his girl. People are like, this is not great. Why would you say that? This is your opportunity to, I don't know, thank your teammates, talk about the work you've done to be able to get there, not try to love bomb this girl that you cheated on. And I think they were together like 6 months. You're together with this woman for 6 months and then you cheated on her, and now you're blasting her on literally worldwide TV.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about it, all of that and more. So how you doing? How are
Doing
things
good.
with you?
Adulting. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I really can't complain. Like, I'm at a point in my life where I have everything I could want. I could have more. There's nothing stopping me from getting it. But then you're also at that age where you really start thinking about your own mortality. People won't always be around. It changes. It changes your.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. Yeah, I completely get it. Like adulting is difficult and it can be hard sometimes, and you're like, I know I've definitely had my like meltdown moments of like, I hate this. This sucks. I have so much on my plate. Why is this happening? All of the things.
Mhm.
But we just have to try and take it one day at a time. Like, I don't know if you saw this going around social media, but the actor Eric Dane passed away.
Yeah.
And then I'm just thinking like I don't know what's happening right now. Like so many people are getting sick and they're dying at such a young age too. It's not like they're in their 70s or 80s or whatever. Like these are 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds. Like we just had, the actor James Vanderbeek pass away from cancer. It's sometimes I stop to think about it and I'm like, there's a lot, like it can be a lot going on with what's happening with the world and our country, and then like seeing like the mortality of like 1 minute you're here, next minute you're not. It can be a lot.
Well, I have to keep in mind that when we were under the age of 20, 40s and 50s was old.
Right.
So hearing about people passing away at that age, we're like, yeah, it kind of makes sense because that's how we saw the world from that perspective. So I think about this because we remember these people growing up. They weren't so far from our age group. Especially now, it's like when you were young, somebody who was just 5 years older than you, that was a lot.
That was a lot. Yeah.
But now it's like when you're in your 40s and somebody who is 55 passes away, you're like, that really isn't too far. 15 years isn't that far away. Like I remember in school reading about like the civil rights movement and feeling like that stuff was so long ago. America's not like that anymore. And then looking back, I'm like, that was just 20 years ago from when I was in school.
Right.
And you realize that people like Dr. King, people like Malcolm X, they didn't reach 40. And that kind of opens up your mind about how what being young really is. You're thinking these
Mm-hmm.
people are dinosaurs. They were not. They were in your age group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some of them were even younger, you know.
Yeah.
Some of them were even younger. So it's difficult, you know. It's difficult as my I'm gonna have a birthday in like 2 months, right? And
Yeah.
I'm already like, man, I'm shifting away from my early 30s and now I'm going to be in my late 30s, you know, my later
Yeah.
30s. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this is like, I remember when 30 used to be old, you know,
Right.
like someone would tell you they're 30 and you're like, man, you're old. But the
And
more
you wish you could go back to that.
I know, I'm like, man, just like the more I think I start to shift towards the 40. I have a couple ways to go before I hit there, but the more I inch closer to being 40, I'm like, man, like I'm getting old. But that's a
Yeah.
blessing. That is a
It is a
blessing
blessing.
because a lot of people don't get that. So,
Honestly, like for me, it's gotten better since I've gotten older. Things gotten better. I just have more options, more opportunities. I can't complain.
yeah,
You know.
I think this is what I found too. Like in because when I was in my 20s, I felt like I couldn't. I didn't know. First of all, I didn't know who I was. Right? It's like you don't know who you really are. You're still trying to figure it out. You're trying to please everybody. You're trying to figure it out. All of those things. But I think the what growing up and what getting older has taught me is I don't have time for BS anymore. Like if I
Hmm.
don't want something, if I don't like something, if I don't want to be around anybody that I don't want to be around, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and be like, oh, man, I'm like, I don't like. I think I'm more particular now about how I choose to use my energy and shift my energy in places that serve me. And it's still a balance because you're still trying to figure it out. But the older you get, the more settled you are in who you are, and you're like, what? I'm okay with this, or I'm okay with that, or nah, that doesn't serve me. So I think that's like the beauty of it. But, there's still some parts of it that suck too.
I will say this. I agree with you because you start to realize your peace of mind is more important than keeping the peace.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't feel this need to break my neck for anyone. I don't feel this need to make myself uncomfortable so that you're happy. And the
right.
thing is, like, what I do now is that I really judge people by their actions. I don't accept the fact that you didn't know, you didn't see that coming. No, we're too much in a space where I need to pretend you didn't know when you offended
Yeah,
me, when you did something wrong. There's too much history there between us for you not to know what bothers me. So I don't accept you don't know, and I don't accept your apology. That was the setup, and I can't be around that.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think for me, it's accountability, right? Like, if you cannot be accountable for or at least admit, hey, I was wrong, or I may have done some things that weren't right, or I just take a little bit of accountability, right? Because it takes, people don't know this. It takes a lot to be like, I was wrong. People hate to take accountability for any part of their actions, and that really irks me. Like that's one of my pet peeves of like if I hurt you, and I think that's again comes with growth, right? Like if we have a disagreement, I might take a couple days to go back and reflect and be like, all right, maybe like try to figure out what my part of it was. Back in my 20s, I was 0 to 100, right? Was like I'm going after you like it was whatever, right? But now I'm like, okay, what was my part in this, and how can I reflect it? And then I'll come to you like, you know what, I see it from your perspective. I may have done this or I may have done that, but my bad. How can we move on? But a lot of people don't know how to do that. A lot of people don't know how to take responsibility for their actions, and I'm like, it's not that hard. Like it's literally not that hard to be like, you know what, I fucked up, I messed up, my bad.
It really isn't. Especially the thing is, As you said, basically as we get older, we start to really set our boundaries with people. And we are careful that when we cross a boundary, we know how to apologize, which is why I'm very careful not to cross any boundaries. And when people cross my boundary, I set it off. You got about a handful of chances before I really set it off, and I'm not going to apologize because when you cross that line, that very straight, clear line, I don't feel the need to apologize,
Yeah.
especially when you've crossed that line on more than one occasion. You're not getting an apology.
Yeah. It's like I can only give you but so many chances. I can only stay silent for so long. But if you keep constantly pushing boundaries that I'm like, "Hey, this is too much." For me, it's I just pretend you don't exist. Like I just
Hmm.
cut you like that's again, for better or worse, I'm still working through a lot of it, but I'm one of those people where I'm like, "I'll give you enough rope to hang yourself." But
Right.
once you hang yourself, you on your own, you know?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
so, and yeah, I feel like this could be like a whole thing on itself, but we got topics to talk about. So let's
It
get into
really
it.
could.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be intense, but hope you're okay. Hope everything's good. And yeah. All right, let's get into it. Did you see the Super Bowl halftime show? Did you see Bonita Bowl?
Clips of it. Clips of it.
You didn't
I never
watch?
been one to watch. I've never been one to really watch the halftime show.
Okay.
Yeah, and nothing against it. Just I've just never been into it. Like only
But you
when it's
know
really like controversial that I say I'm gonna
this
watch a
was
few clips.
controversial.
Yeah, if it's like controversial, I'll watch a clip or two.
A clip or two. Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't sit there and watch the whole thing. Like I
It's
get
13
easily
minutes
distracted.
long.
I couldn't do it. I didn't watch Kendrick's last year. I just read the highlights.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were what highlights did you get from this one since
Well, the only thing that really brought my attention was the fact that Turning Point USA decided to do an alternative halftime show. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't even think about this. I would not have thought about this.
yeah. You know what the irony is? The person that they're supposedly doing the halftime show for, their turning point, didn't even watch their show. He was
Right.
watching the Super Bowl halftime show, which is wild to
I
me.
bet it was.
But I thought I saw it. I saw the whole thing, and I was texting one of my BFFs, and I was like, "Oh my god, I don't understand what he's saying," but I would be like, I was dancing, and I've always loved Bad Bunny, right?
Hmm.
I've always had a I won't say I'm a huge fan of his music, but there's some of his songs that I truly appreciate.
Hmm.
And I obviously knew of him before this whole thing blew up. Even though I didn't understand a lot of what he was saying, I felt it. I felt the imagery itself. You could feel it. You could relate to it. You could relate to the family that was watching TV at home. You could relate to, the adults in the park playing dominoes. You could relate to just the family feel community, like their version of like a cookout, or going to the bodega if you're from New York, or whatever, whatever that is for you, you can connect to it in that way. Like I've always felt like music is universal. I've always loved music, right? Ever
Right.
since its beginning, ever since the day I saw Thriller for the first time, Michael Jackson, right? I've been
Okay.
obsessed. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And music like you don't have to understand the lyrics to connect to like this is there's a palatable melody to it that you can just like you can feel the energy, right? Some of the music that I listen to, I don't understand a word they're saying, but I vibe to it. It makes me feel something. It puts me in the mood. And the fact that people don't realize that Puerto Rico is part of America is still crazy to me. Like
Yeah.
the fact that they're saying that this man is not an American and we should have Americans at the Super Bowl. And I'm like, you do realize there's been plenty of people that have played at the Super Bowl that were not American, right? Like Coldplay and U2 and Paul McCartney and Rihanna, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. There's so many people that have played at the Super Bowl that are not American, but
But
you
that's not
are
how they saw
upset
it.
because Benito is what, a Spanish speaker? It's wild to me.
That's not even what it's about. Because when with those other performers, they were just inviting their mass performers. But the Bad Bunny performance, he was inviting his culture, and that's what got them scared. That's what got them shaking. I mean, what did they think would happen when Puerto Rico became a US territory? That their culture would disappear? That they would just, forget everything about their history and just somehow, become American in every way that you wanted them to be? No, they didn't just disappear. They still exist. And I
Yeah.
think that's what they find offensive. They have no problem with the idea of having a performer. They have a problem with inviting another culture, not their own. And that's what that was. That was like the official introduction of that we are here and we're going to stay who we are.
That's an interesting point you bring about culture, because I don't know if you've seen this clip going around online, but there's this appointee of the administration. I think he was doing like a Congress hearing or something, and one of the congressmen asked him, what is it, what about white culture are you missing? Like, what is it that
Yeah,
bothers you about other cultures that you feel like is erasing your culture? And
right.
he couldn't produce an answer. The only thing he said was white churches, white food, and white music. And the congressman was like, so all of these things are the things that you are associating with white culture that other people are erasing from you. And he still couldn't answer it. And my thing is, if you love your culture so bad, stop eating Mexican food. Stop eating Thai food. Stop eating soul food. Stop eating food that are from other cultures and stick with your bland, unseasoned chicken and potato salad with raisins. Okay? If you hate the culture, stop eating its food. Stop, emerging yourself in the culture, because it's literally true. You want all of the rhythm but none of the blues. You don't want the people around, but you want their food, you want their music, you want their what makes them them, you want their culture, but you don't want them around. That makes no sense to me.
Well, somebody said it best. It's not the issue of, say, they don't want the culture or the people. They hate the fact that they're not center of the universe. And it's kind of like, in high school, if you have a group of girls and there's that one girl who's typically the prettiest, she's the leader, and one of the other girls starts coming into her own. She was okay with that girl as long as she was a sidekick, an underling.
Yeah, yeah.
But the moment that her little sidekick started stepping out on her own, no longer wanting to be a Robin, that's when she got jealous. That's when she got upset. And that's what's happening here. Like, this introduction of Bad Bunny is a representation of how there's other groups, they're having more of an impact on American culture. They're shifting the culture, right? I think black people make up about 13, 14% of the population. Latinos, Hispanics, I think they make up about 18%. Asians are about to come close to 10. And there was a report recently that the combined numbers of minorities for the first time in American history has the birth rate has exceeded the birth rate of white people. Like recently, the birth rate of minorities combined was 50.4%. And for white people it was 49.6%. So this was like a milestone where things are really shifting, where in time minorities won't be the quote unquote minorities.
Right. Isn't it
And
like
that's what it comes
by
down to.
2050 or something that minorities will be the like would have grown or something, will be the not the minority anymore, but kind of
Yeah,
close to the majority now?
if you take all of our numbers together, we will be the majority. And that's what really bothers them, that they will not be center of the universe. Their ways or culture won't be considered the default culture. That's what it's really about. They want to be the default culture, have the default say. From what I understand, for example, the number of Latinos in Florida is so great that the language in Florida is actually shifting. That's how much of an impact is happening. And when you bring in Puerto Rico as a US territory, what do you think that's going to do?
What do
That's
you think
going
is going
to
to happen?
shift it
Right.
even faster. Now that they're of course an American citizen, why would they change now that you gave them the green light? You haven't given them any reason not to change because you've given them the thing they wanted. That's crazy. Like, it's like if you marry a man without a job, If you
Right.
married him without a job, why would he now get a job?
Right. And it's like
You
they've been
accepted him as
US
he was.
citizens since like what, 1907 or something like that? Like it's been a minute.
Really, I gotta look that up. I thought the way they're talking, like it was like a recent thing.
No, it's been like 1907. Like
Wow.
yes, it's not like a recent 1930s, 1940s. I think they were colonized in like 1897, I want to say, something like that. I could be wrong with my dates, but Puerto Ricans have been US citizens since I want to say 1907 or something like that. So this isn't like, oh, they just showed up and they just became citizens like 20, 30 years ago.
Wow.
Yes.
Since 1898. The way they're
Right.
talking, it's like something that happened just a couple years ago. That's why they're bothered. They've been a US territory since
19
1898
Yes.
and you're now worried about
And
this.
they're yes,
That's
yes.
crazy.
Americans need to educate themselves.
I would have thought the way they're reacting, it was like maybe within the last 10, 15 years
Nope.
Puerto Rico became a U.S. territory, and they're now having the influence um, to be seen in the culture. I'm like,
No, and the reason why they gave them the US citizenship back then was because they wanted to use them in I believe it was World War 1.
yeah,
Right. So they wanted the bodies to be able to go to World War 1. And so they were like, "Oh, well, you'll be a US citizen, but you got to go fight the war for us," kind of thing. So it's like, "We'll colonize you and then we'll send you to your deaths basically," which is horrible. But yeah, people are acting like this thing just like they just became American citizens. It's like, no, they've literally been for like the past
it's
100
over a
years or
hundred.
whatever. Right. So I don't understand it, but I think people need to, like there's no excuse for you to be ignorant anymore. That's why the internet was invented. Do a Google search, okay? Do some research. Do something.
That's crazy.
Like there's
You
no
gave
reason to
them
plead
membership to the
ignorance.
club. You gave them membership to the club, and they're using their membership,
Using your membership and now you
right?
complaining?
You complaining, you gave them membership, they use it, now you're upset. Like they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, so it's like America's always been a melting pot. There's no one language. Now they're trying to say, oh, America's national language is now English. Okay, since when? Like America was built on a melting pot. So many different cultures and influences is what makes America. It wasn't just one group of people, one race of people, is a melting pot of people. And that is what is supposedly, that's what makes this country special is there's so many different people, different styles, different races, different colors, different everything. And now we're trying to sort of erase what makes us unique. It's like, in a way, I feel like that ship has sailed. Like
Well,
I don't know
it is
about you, but
sailing.
like that ship is gone. It ain't coming back.
It is sailing because what they really mean is that they thought the English speaking Anglo-Saxon evangelical culture, that would be the one that will always be priority one. And what's happening is that other people are prioritizing themselves. We're living in a world where it's going to be equal. They don't have to
Yeah.
bow down to you. We're all really trying to be equal here, and that really bothers people. It's just, again, compared to like that one girl in the club who is used to every man buying her a drink and ignoring her friends, and then one day her friends level up
Hmm.
and the men are buying drinks for them too. Not that they're excluding you, not that they stop buying drinks for you, but the fact that they're buying drinks for your friend, which symbolizes your friends are just as beautiful, just as good as you. And that's what
Yeah.
bothers them.
Yeah. Um, I was gonna say something and it completely skipped my mind. Anyway, I'll probably remember it later, but I can't remember right now. All right, let's move on to our next story, unless there's something else you wanted to share.
No, that was it. I think that one was really good.
Okay. Man, I really had it at the tip of my tongue. There's something I wanted to point out, but man, that's that brain of mine. All right, let's move on. Well, Netflix did a documentary on America's Next Top Model, and to everyone's surprise, Tyra actually came on. She participated in a documentary, and so did the Miss J, Mr. J, and Nigel Barker, who were the judges, the original judges. And then I guess the co-creator of the show, his name's Ken Bark. Ken Bark. I think this whole rumbling kind of started back in 2020 when people were in lockdown and America's Next Top Model was one of the only shows that people could watch, right? So people started rewatching it, and all of these things started coming up of like, man, this show is very problematic. I remember when it first came out, I was really intrigued. I was like, oh wow, like this, you could be a model on this show. Like that's really cool. It was a cultural show, you know.
It
But
was
now
like
look,
it's just crazy when people would say that they meant that to be synonymous with being a real model, being famous,
right,
competing. Like that's what that meant when people said that to
right,
you.
yeah. And so like I took, this was what I took from the documentary. I took two things, and two things can be true. The first thing was Tyra changed the landscape. She set out to, as a black woman, especially in TV at that time, back in 2003. That was really hard, and I give her credit for bursting through that door. And I think she did set out to do something good, but I think it kind of got away from her a little bit and it started getting to her head. So I can give her that. I can give her that her flowers in that. I think she really did want to change, or at least think she wanted to change the fashion industry because she saw like how women, how she was treated, right? How
Yeah.
you had to be a certain size. You couldn't, a size 6 was considered plus size, like, so I think she really wanted to give young girls who may not necessarily have felt beautiful the opportunity to be like, you know what, you could be a model. This is your dream. This is what you want to do. You could do it too. And then there's the other side of it, which is the executive producer, the pressure of, we got to get ratings. This show is so popular. People want, and she said it herself, people wanted more and more and more and more. And so because people wanted more, she started thinking of these ways to shock people, which
Hmm.
was the race swapping, which is wild to me because they did it twice on the show, twice, where they swapped people's races and did blackface on people. And then
Yeah.
there's the shoot with it was like a murder shoot where she knew that one of the contestants, her mother, was a victim of gun violence, and she made this young woman do a shoot where she was, had one to the brain. And I'm like, this is not okay. And then there was the right, which I remember that episode. For whatever reason, I remember that episode very vividly. And the way they spun it at the time was, and again, this was my 13-year-old brain, right? Before I was educated. The way they spun it was, she had a good time. She had a one night stand and ended up cheating on her boyfriend, right? That was the way that the show portrayed it. Was, oh, she was in Paris, she's a young 18-year-old girl, and she had fun with one of the guys, and turns out she had a boyfriend and she made a mistake and blah blah blah. After watching that documentary and like watching what the her name Shandy had to say, I'm like, whoever filmed that, they deserve a special place in hell. Whoever aired that made the decision for this young girl who was 18 years old at the time to be in another country, to have these men over with these women, not even women, they were girls. These were teenagers. They were 18. They're still teenagers, okay? To come over to their apartment or wherever they were staying, pile them with alcohol, and see this happening and did not stop it, there's a special place in hell for you, because that's not right.
I'm not familiar with that scene. I never heard the controversy. So these young girls were not aware that these men were coming to their room or something, or
So, okay, so let me paint the picture for you. So they were in Milan and they were doing this thing called the go see, right? It's basically like where you go to different fashion houses and you try to get them to hire you. After the challenge, they came back to their, I think it was their hotel or whatever house they were staying in Milan. And the story goes, somebody, meaning somebody from production, oh sorry, let me back up, they had done a shoot with these guys, with a couple of these guys. So they had already done a photo shoot with them earlier, with these guys, right? And so somebody from, I'm guessing, production told the girls to invite the guys over to the house. I guess they were trying to make for good television, I don't know. So the guys came over, and they were in the house with the girls, and there were alcohol involved, and these models, according to them, they weren't really allowed to eat. They had to maintain a certain weight level, all of these things. And so when you haven't eaten for 12 hours and you're drinking 2 bottles of wine, you get pretty inebriated. And that's what happened to this woman named Shandy. Was she and if you see her, she was very, very thin at the time. Like, she was really, really thin. And she had said that she hadn't eaten for like the past 12 hours. She was just really, they were working them and everything like that. And when they got back to the house, she had had 2 bottles of wine and she couldn't remember anything. She was completely out of it. So that's basically what the story was. So somebody let this girl go to, like, be in this situation. And my thing is, Tyra tried to say that production wasn't her domain. And I'm like, you're the executive producer. Like, you can't say in one breath you were an editing master and then the second breath say you had no control over it. You saw this. If you were part of editing, you saw this and you allowed it to go in there. And then after that, years later, you invited this woman onto your show after she told you that she didn't want to relive it, and you made her relive it on your show. So my thing is, I think Tyra has a lot to account for, and she completely dodged accountability on a lot of things, blaming it on everybody else but her. I also think the Jays have a lot to do with it too, because they were also involved. So there's Mr. J, so Jay Manuel, who's Mr. J, then there's Jay Alexander, who's Mrs. J, and then there's Nigel Barker.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think Jay Manuel he also needed to take accountability, because he couldn't just say, oh, it was all Tyra. You had creative control over a lot of things as well. So I just feel like they were just they were throwing the blame at each other. Like, no, it was this person. No, it was that person. No, it was this person. And it's like, who one of you is going to take accountability for torturing these women?
Yeah.
That's what they did. They really, like, them. And so my question to you is, should we be judging these shows in the lens of 2026? Because that's what a lot of people are like, well, you can't judge a 2003 show with the lens of 2026. What do you think?
This is an ancient Israel Canaanite invasion. This isn't like 2,000 years ago. This is the modern lens. It's the same lens.
So you think they should have known better back in 2003?
This is not like, thousands of years ago. The culture hasn't changed or shifted that much for you not to know what's good or bad. Our morals haven't changed that much. I don't see how you could not have seen that as wrong, especially if you knew they were underage, or some of the things, or like even the blackface thing. Like, you didn't know that was wrong. I mean, like that goes back to the 90s where we knew it was wrong, but we didn't like it.
Well, her thing was she wanted to celebrate women of color.
You could do that with women of color. It's like that episode of The Fresh Prince where Hillary had that talk show, but she
Yeah.
wasn't drawing in a lot of black people. So she tried to celebrate black people with African culture, but it was just all white women. And then like Will had to just like school her, like, if you're gonna do this,
You
it has
need
to be
black
black
women.
people. Yeah, you need
Yeah.
black women to do it. It's like no, Tyra, you can't win this one. It's just, to me, like, it's not that they didn't know better. They deliberately made these missteps so that it could be talked about. You get more attention for doing something wrong than doing something right, and that's how the industry works.
I think I struggle with this one a little bit, because again, I've given you both sides. I'm like, Tyra was a pioneer in her time, but I think it's that adjective or added, you know what I'm trying to say, of be careful not to become the person you hate. And I say that because Tyra's been vocal about how she was treated in the fashion industry,
Yeah.
and in her way to maybe deal with that, or not feel like I have some power here, she unintentionally or intentionally, I don't know, became the same bully that she hated, if that made
Yeah.
sense.
No, it
She
makes
became
perfect sense.
she perpetuated the same cycle that was perpetuated towards her. And that can be difficult. Tyra's not stupid. I think she's aware of like what people think of her. She knows what she did or she didn't do or whatever. But at the same time, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about these women were hurt. It's kind of like the Epstein files. Well, I don't, you know what? Let me not say that. I don't want to equate this to the
At least
Epstein
not
files.
now. At least not now until we hear further information.
I don't want to equate this, but the reason I say that is because somebody has to be accountable for treating these women this way. That's my like who do we hold accountable for these women's pain and their trauma? And the fact that the Ken Mock, the other executive producer, purposely said that these women came from broken homes, that their life was in order, that they came from difficult situations. But I'm like, you purposely picked these women. Like you cast them on the show. So you purposely picked women that came from broken homes, that didn't have a stable family, and you purposely exploited them. What does that make you?
I mean, the thing is, to me, is like the younger me just saw it as, America's Next Top Model. It lasted 24 seasons, like I think from
Yeah,
2003 to 2018.
yeah,
And to me, it was 24 seasons of, again, drama. It was a soap opera for beautiful women. That's what it was. And when you tune into any soap opera, you're kind of just asking yourself, what is this character who's typically a villain? What are they going to get away with next? Because that's what you really tune in for, right? Is
yeah,
this villain? What are they going to get away with next? Are they finally going to get their comeuppance in this episode? And that's what you're waiting for. And I think that's what America's Next Top Model was always meant to be. It was meant to be a drama. It was meant to be a soap opera. But then they had to keep one upping themselves. They had to keep coming up with the new controversy. Like, how can we beat ourselves from last time? And what line can we cross today? And that's what it came down to. And now they're looking back like with regret. Like, I guess that was the thing where we crossed the line and went too far. And now people are looking back and saying, yeah, we're the villains. And rightfully so. You are the
yeah,
villain. I think
yeah.
the modeling industry, you often hear how beauty is pain. And I believe that. Like you're living in a world where women are competing to see who is the most beautiful, and that's already something I would say girls already do. They're trying to be as beautiful as they can. They're impressionable, and I feel like it's an industry where there's going to be psychological trauma. You walk into that
Absolutely.
world, and people are looking at you from head to toe and they're seeing flaws in you that you didn't even notice. Little things they're gonna pick out and be like, oh well, we can't have her because she's a half a centimeter too tall.
The Gap.
Imperfect.
Did you hear
Get rid
about
of
the Gap?
her. Yeah, just like things you didn't even think you would be excluded for, they're going to exclude you just for that. And that's going to leave a scar on you. And I can only imagine, especially if you're coming in as an 18-year-old, you're impressionable. Let's say they pick out a flaw in you and they're like, you know what? You just got to change this one little thing. And you almost are willing to sell your soul to do it. You almost do anything. They tell you to come to this event, wear this, do that, be in this room alone with this group of people. And, like, I could only imagine the things that some of these young women, what they have gone through that they would never talk about.
Yeah.
So that's how I always imagine that kind of industry, you know, just a cesspool. That's if I could sum it up, a cesspool.
Yeah. One of the contestants on there, Danny, talked about like literally Tyra made her close her gap. She had a little gap here that I mean, I thought it was really cute and she thought it was gonna distinguish her from other models. She's like, I love it. This and Tyra was like, nope, no one's gonna sign you with that gap in your teeth. You're gonna close that gap. And it's like you
Mhm.
can't like how do you make a medical decision for someone to just be like on a show, no less, on a reality show, be like, nope, you're gonna change your teeth. You're going to have this medical procedure. It is a very hard industry. I know it's not perfect now, but it's definitely wasn't what it was now, how it was back then. I'm guessing because there's a lot more opportunities. Somebody said this on social media and I thought it was so poignant. They said Tyra could have really really changed the fashion industry if she really set out to do what she wanted to do because she had connections. If she really wanted to change it and really give people opportunities, she could use these models to invite in new photographers and new designers and new, up and coming people that the industry may have overlooked or maybe not given them a chance, and really had this collaboration and really changed the industry and really done some good. But instead she kind of chose another way of, the reality show, knowing that even the prizes that these women were going to win wasn't going to really do much for them winning wasn't really them winning, because after they won, real legitimate clients didn't want to hire them because they were on reality TV.
Right, and
So
that's crazy. Like Eva Marcel, who was like on the second season, was saying how
no, she wasn't on the second season. He was like cycle 5 or 6 maybe.
okay, I
Yeah.
wouldn't know. But she's amazingly beautiful. Like I would a woman that beautiful. Well,
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean, don't get me
but
wrong. There's been plenty of models that have done well for themselves after that show,
I was
but
gonna
I
say
think they've had
like
to work at it. But go ahead, Eva Marcel.
the prize was like 100K, and I was like, that was it. I mean, that was just 100K. You went through all of that.
After taxes.
I mean, I thought the prize was a little bit more than that, but it's like it wasn't even really that worth it. I mean, like if you're young, it's a lot of money, but looking back, I'm like those that was chump change, chump change. But Eva Marcel at least is doing fairly well. Like she has her TV show.
Yeah, I think Eva was one of them. Winnie Harlow has done well for herself. She was on Top Model too. There's another woman named Cass. She married up. She married Stephen Amell. I don't know who if you know her. No, not sorry, know him or her.
Well, I know
But
Stephen Amell was the Green Arrow.
yeah, yeah. So was on that show. But yeah, so there've been a few people that have turned their, and how can I forget Yaya? Yaya DaCosta? She was on Chicago Med. So there's been a few people that have done really well for themselves, but and have, turned that opportunity into something for themselves. But think about all of the contestants that they've been. Like there've
Yeah.
been so many, and we can only name a few. So anyway, let's move on.
Mhm.
All right, let's talk about this guy really fast. I wanted to hear your topic, your opinion about this. So there's this Olympic medalist. He's from Norway called Sturula Holm. Ligrid. My
Mhm.
Norwegian is terrible. But anyway, he won. I think I said bronze earlier, but he won a silver medal. And when they were interviewing him to ask him about that moment where, you went there, you're in the Olympics, you won silver. What do you feel? And he took this opportunity to tell the world that he had cheated on his girlfriend of 6 months, and that he would like to get her back if possible. And people were like, "What in the world? Like, why would you use this opportunity to first of all out yourself as a cheater? And second, why would you put her on blast like that?" And so, do you think this is a form of love bombing? And let me say that she has since come out and said she's not taking him back. Like, this is just another way of him trying to manipulate the situation, and what he did was really horrible, and she's not taking him back, basically. But what do you think about this?
I really don't think much about it. I think you made a mistake, of course, or obviously you made a choice. You're paying the consequences. You're trying to make amends, and you still lost. You shot your shot and you missed.
It's hard to say what his motivation was. I guess his motivation was like she'll see it and want him back. But I'm like, this is what I really want to know. If men know they have a good thing, why do they always mess it up?
Who can say? Who can say? Like honestly, yeah, who can say why men do the things they do? Why anybody does the things they do? It probably is maturity, need to have something you can't have, or like sort of the forbidden fruit kind of thing.
But 6 months is a little soon, isn't it? Like if I'm in a relationship with someone for 6 months, you're still in that lovey-dovey state.
I mean, I don't think there's any sort of rhyme or reason when you cheat on somebody. I don't think time makes a difference. I think the person does. Maybe he thought, oh, like the girl he was cheating with maybe might have been better. And turns out she wasn't. Like in the Tyler Perry movie, Why Did I Get Married? The 80/20 rule. Maybe that's what he thought.
Wait,
And
what's
then
the
he
80/20? Oh, the 80/20. Right, the
yeah.
thing is green. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I had to think about that for a minute.
Yeah, he probably had that moment and made a decision he shouldn't have. Now he's regretting it because probably he's realizing like the girl he was dating for 6 months, he was really that one. He made that choice. I don't even want to call it a mistake. He made that choice and he's paying for it.
So do you think so you think cheating is a choice or a mistake?
A choice, of course. I mean, like, you don't mistakenly put somebody's, number in your phone, mistakenly text them, and mistakenly meet up. That
Not
those are things you do.
mistakenly meet up.
You can't do each one of those things can't be a mistake. So no, you made a choice, and
If your intentions were like, okay,
that has never happened in the history of the world.
I want to ask you one more thing. Oh my god, I want to ask you one more thing. Did you see the Cam Newton interview where he was man, I forgot who he was talking to. Where he said he does not have platonic female friends because he
I
don't
heard
want
about
that
that.
smoke. What do you
Yeah.
think about that? Do you
Well, I
think
think that's for
cuz this
him.
huh?
I think that's for him.
I've always heard this thing of like men and women can be friends. Men and women
Right.
can be friends. But I'm like, you and I are friends and we've
Yeah.
been friends for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So it is possible.
Of course it is. The thing of what Cam Newton is saying is that for a guy like him, he doesn't have to be friends.
Doesn't
I
say
think that's what he
he's
really
saying he
meant to
has
say. He
no
doesn't
self
have to be
control.
friends. Yeah, yeah, I think that's what he's really saying. He doesn't have to be friends. Like again, the whole friendship thing is a choice. He said, "I'm at a level where I don't want to be a friend. I don't want to be." And I think that's for him. That's fine. I mean, as long as I'm not hearing something where he made the woman uncomfortable, coerced her any sort of way, that's the only thing I will find offensive. But if he
Hmm.
says, around a beautiful woman, he doesn't really want to be a friend, I think that's him just being honest.
Hmm.
Like, you're an attractive woman. I couldn't really be your friend. I'd rather date you. And how many children does Cam Newton have?
Like 10, between 7 and 10, I think.
And is it I'm
Different
guessing
baby
you're
mamas.
that's what I thought. I think you
Yes.
said that before. Like, it's one of those situations like with Nick Cannon. It's like, you know what this man is all about. So if you get involved with him at this point, that's your fault. Don't tell me you didn't know about this man's reputation. He told you, he broadcasted it. He said,
Yeah.
I can't be friends with a beautiful woman. So if you find yourself alone with this man having a conversation, why are you there except to be in an intimate relationship? If
Yeah.
you're not interested in that level, if you just want to be friends with Cam Newton or Nick Cannon, you need to just stay away from them
Stay
because
in
they're
your
not
lane.
interested in friendship. They're not interested
Yeah.
in that. You should not be doing anything else besides that. And what he says, it doesn't trigger me. I know for some people it might trigger them. Like, do you find that's wrong in what he said?
I just think, I mean, I appreciate his self-awareness, but I'm like, you don't have any self-control in you that you don't see a woman and the first thing that comes to your mind is I gotta sleep with her. Like that, like that to me is like it just seems very childish to me. And he was very bold about it too. Like, no, I can't be like if I see her, it's on. And I'm just like, a little self-control is good. Again, I
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that he knows that he doesn't want to put himself in that type of situation. But I'm like, that's kind of sad too. Like you cannot see a woman without you wanting to sleep with her. Like that's it's unfortunate. It really is.
I mean, it's like again, I want to be triggered by it, but it's like to me he was being honest, and I feel like if he's talking about women that want to be with him on that level, he didn't say anything wrong. There's
Right, but it's
probably women out
okay.
there in the world that want to be involved with him in that way, and that's okay.
Okay, here's my thing, right? All right, I
Yeah,
might I might be an outlier here, but I don't find Cam Newton attractive. He's not my type. If I see him, my first thought wouldn't be, "Oh, I gotta sleep with him." I
right.
think it's the audacity of like every woman would want to sleep with me type of thing, or like
Is that what he
y-
said?
that's
It
I don't
sounded
know,
to me
maybe.
like he just said that if he's around a beautiful woman, he can't be her friend. He wants to be with her in the romantic
How
sense.
does he know that she wants to sleep with him?
Well, that's
He
the
could
thing he's
just
gonna find. He never said like I'm gonna pursue women who don't want me. I don't think that's what he was trying to say. I think he was talking about women that that want to be with him in that way too. I think
Mhm.
I would hope that he's the kind of guy if a woman says not interested, he hears it.
Right.
He listens. And if that's the case, if he's talking about just women that want to be with him in that level too, he didn't say anything wrong. He was just being honest about his intentions. It's just like, when you meet some women who say they don't believe in 50-50, they believe a man should take care of everything. That doesn't bother me at all because you are making your intentions.
Right. You make your
criteria
intentions
clear.
clear. Yeah.
You haven't offended anyone, not me especially. You just made your criteria clear. There's some men who will completely sign on for that, some will not. And you've just eliminated those that aren't down for that.
Hmm.
So, in that same breath, Cam Newton just eliminated all the women who wouldn't be down with him for those reasons. And he's left that door open for women that do want to get involved with him in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think it's childish to say, "This is who I am as a person. This is who I am." You're
I
letting
said
me
I gave
know.
him credit for being self-aware.
Yeah, you don't have to like what he said, but I don't think he said anything wrong.
I just found it fascinating, this this whole conversation of I think it is possible for men and women to be friends and
Yeah,
nothing romantic happens. Like they're just really good friends. But
yeah,
I guess that concept is still very foreign for a lot of people. And if you're one of those people that that you cannot be friends with the opposite sex and you just rather avoid it, I appreciate you being who you are and understanding that what this isn't my area. This isn't something that I want to do, and I'm gonna avoid it and stay away. Kudos to
I
him.
kind of and I understand what to a degree what they're saying because it's like if you look at the other way around, when you hear women say they just want to be taken care of. That is, there is nothing wrong with saying that as a woman. You want to be taken care of. But some people will translate that to hear gold digger. She just wants me for my money, blah, 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 blah. To me, again, she's being upfront about what she wants. Either step up or walk away. She
Yeah.
just gave you that choice. She was upfront and honest. And I think again, what the equivalent of what Cam Newton said is just, I just want you for your body, nothing else. And I think for some women, what they're hearing is that, once you use me, you're gonna discard me. And that is very terrible. But again, by him saying that, he's telling you exactly what he wants, and you now have a choice whether to engage or walk
Or
away.
not. Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. I think you make a great point of I think people should be more forthcoming and more straightforward about what they want. You know,
Yeah.
like you said, if you're like this is who I am, this is what I want, this is my line and everything, and this is what I can offer you, and you go into it knowing that this is what this person wants but then expecting change, then you're the idiot. So
Yeah. And I
yeah,
and I
I
think
get.
what it comes down to is like having a relationship where you feel useful versus used. And I think that's what some people are hearing.
Thank you all for joining us on this week's episode. We really appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe. Find us on social media at the Foreign Lady Pod. We're also on YouTube at the Foreign Lady Pod. And if you want to send us an email just to say hello, visit us at the Foreign Lady Podcast at gmail.com. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Foreign Lady.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate, like, and subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast.
Follow us on social media at The Foreign Lady Podcast on Facebook and Instagram.
Email us at theforeignladypodcast@gmail.com. See you next time.